Welcome to episode 73 of the Fly Route Podcast. I am your host, Anthony, aka Tony Playboy, aka the bane of my existence, aka Draymond's Media Circus. And I am joined here by two fantastic guests. I got Sam and I got Seven. Y'all got any AKAs for yourself? What's good, Sam?
AKA we in Minnesota now.
Okay. Seven.
Hey man, Seven Mitchell in the building, aka Best of Seven, man. You know I love this game. Let's get right into the night's talk.
All right, we are dead smack in the middle of round two of the NBA playoffs. There are games every day, back to back. We finally got a night off, so I want to talk to y'all about where y'all at with the playoffs so far. Has it been good? Have you been disappointed? What's up?
Wait, man. I'm excited. You know, personally, kick things off. I've really I'm excited of the play that we've seen so far. A lot of your favorite or a couple favorite teams that people anticipated and predicted to be in the postseason didn't make it, but we're still getting some good basketball, some good storylines. So I'm excited.
All right, what's up with you, Sam?
Yeah, I think that it's been a good playoffs so far. The only thing I've been a little disappointed by is just the injuries that we've seen a couple of teams going through. Embiid out, Kyle Lowry out, saw Scotty Barnes miss time in the first round. Marcus Smart is questionable, but likely for game three of that series. So it just sucks not being able to see some of the best players play. It's good to see like Booker back on the court though after his injury stuff. So all in all, I think it's been a really good start to the playoffs. But I just hope we can see more of these players get in and be healthy as it goes along.
All right. I'm feeling that. Now, look, for me, I've been excited because one, we are seeing a lot of people's true colors. All right. We are seeing a lot of people's true colors. And I think something that everybody has on their minds is who is James Harden now and going forward? Because he is about to hit free agency this summer and looking for a big bag. What's up? Is James Harden still a max player?
I think he is on principle. Only on principle because a lot of these contracts are given from the overall body of work, not just what have you done for me lately. If we were measuring this thing on a barometer of what James Harden has recently done, definitely don't max him out. But what he has potential to bring a team just on the scoring aspect, you gotta pay him. Because if you get rid of him, you're gonna need something to substitute. So I really don't think Philly has a choice.
Okay. Okay, Sam, where you at? You want James in there?
So I guess I'm mixed in my answer in that I think he will get the money. I do think Philly probably has to pay him because I mean you gave up a ton to get him. Letting him leave for nothing seems like not the move. But I am, you know how I feel, Wooly. After the Ben Simmons Harden trade, I was super vocal in that if James Harden doesn't win a ring or make a big run, sort of leading the Sixers, I'm just kind of over it. Um, because he's like demanded to be in all these new situations. It keeps not working out, and I think it's worth noting that he's been the third best player on his team in a series where Embiid is out, getting outplayed by Tobias Harris and Maxey, and he's not even been a top five player in this series. So I would be weary about maxing him out this summer, but I think their backs are against the wall and kind of have to do it.
And then you also got to add on to the whole chemistry factor. We looked at these last games. His own teammates didn't even really want to sit next to him and talk to him courtside. Like, I don't know really what the issue is with James Harden and why chemistry always seems to be an issue wherever he goes. But, you know, Daryl Morey is going to have to definitely take that in consideration when contract time. Like, is he going to be able to gel with these guys or what?
Okay, I did feel like giving up a lot for James Harden might have been the larger mistake that they have here, especially given the hindsight of Embiid ended up getting hurt in the prime season that we were talking about that you didn't want to waste. If you're Daryl Morey, might end up being wasted anyway. completely out of your control, right? That being said, Harden, that's a 5-year deal. If you tie that type, if Harden's not Harden, and you tie that type of an albatross to Joel Embiid, does that could close a championship window? Now maybe he's just still coming back slow from the hamstring injury, and we will soon see a James Harden that's significantly better than this one after being another year removed. Who knows? But seeing as he's out for game 3, at this point, is anyone here not willing to call Miami in honestly 5 or less? I would say possibly 4, but 5 or less.
I agree with that. I think it'll be 4 or 5. I just don't see Philly pushing it to 6, and that's kind of disappointing because even with Embiid out, I just like expected them to play with a little more fire, and I think a lot of that comes back to Harden. 16 points in game 1, 20 points in game 2. It's okay, but when you're a superstar, okay in the playoffs is really bad.
At what point do we point the finger at Doc Rivers? I know a lot of times we wait to these game 7 situations and we revisit his history as far as, blowing 3-1 leads, things of that nature. But we have to hold Doc Rivers accountable now for what we're seeing on the court. Yes, Joel is shortchanged, but like Sam mentioned at the top of the show, injuries has plagued almost everyone in the association this season. The last 2 seasons, injuries have been a big deal. So if Philly is not even playing competitive basketball against Miami in these next couple games, I still think you will put Doc Rivers on a hot seat, and maybe he should be gone as well, because I don't see the X factor that he should be bringing to get these teams over the hump. I just don't see it.
Man, that kind of I like Doc a lot, so I kind of feel hard agreeing with that, particularly just because a lot of people have faced some injuries, right? But Joel Embiid is supposed to be the MVP of the league for a reason,
True.
right? It's not like you just missed. Like Chris Middleton's a great player; he is a very good player, but he's not Giannis, right? You're not missing your Giannis. Like Joel Embiid carried this team all year long while we talked about how he did it missing $36 million of cap and Ben Simmons just sitting on the bench by being purely the most dominating player in all of basketball this year. That's not a small miss. Their offense was give it to Joel centric, to say the least. So I feel like the injury gives Doc an out, and it should, even though a lot of people are giving him a lot of, ire for the DeAndre Jordan minutes. Are they overreacting to the DeAndre Jordan minutes?
I mean, these are just all little pet peeves I think people are going to pick when we, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day. Doc is a, historically good coach, but, I can see, like you said, people giving him a pass because of the Joel injury. I can see that. But if these guys, the ones who he does have to go out there on the court, if they don't even play well, I say you blow the whole damn thing up.
Okay. I mean, they said Mike D'Antoni is there on the side, and like that's always possible with the Harden Maury little triangle thing. Like, who do you put in that position over Doc Rivers that you think makes the difference?
That's interesting, man, because you don't like Houston had a little bit of success back then with Harden and CP3 and I think D'Antoni, but that's not really the energy that you bring in Philly. Philly's blue collar. Those guys are hard, grinders. I don't know, man. I'm looking at maybe a Mark Jackson or somebody like that. I don't know.
Man, I want Mark Jackson to get his chance, but that just feels out of the class that they're going to give someone like Mark Jackson. I feel like if Mark Jackson gets the opportunity that he very obviously deserves, right? I can't stress that enough. He's going to end up being stuck rebuilding another team. Like the way that he was the foundational building spot blocks of the Golden State dynasty, he instilled that confidence in some of the best shooters of all time. He's going to be tasked with doing that again instead of being given the like team that's ready to go, a la Steve Nash getting the Nets. Like, so it seems like we all feel like Miami is basically ran away with this one. We got the other side of the Eastern bracket, which I think has actually been very interesting. The Celtics versus the Bucks, and this series has been good. This series has been back and forth. We watched Jaylen Brown go absolutely nuclear earlier this week to really make this feel like a series again. All right, are y'all feeling like the Bucks can outlast not having Middleton here and overcome the Celtics?
No, I
No.
don't. I coming into the playoffs, my prediction for the finals was Celtics versus Warriors. And I still think I'm holding to that. I'm also way more buying into the Suns, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I mean, I think I'm just sticking to. I think the Celtics are going to make a run to the finals, and I think missing Middleton is just like a huge kind of like scoring option for Milwaukee that we saw last year was really big for their run, because while Giannis is their best player, there are times in the crunch where Middleton can get the best shot. So I think they're going to miss that down the stretch, especially.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Sam. And like you mentioned, Tony, like Joel on face value injury is bigger than Chris Middleton's. But to me, when you break it down, it holds just as much weight. Like without Chris being a part of that three-headed monster in Milwaukee, it's just not going to work. I don't think Giannis is ready right now to carry a team with a bunch of nobodies to the promised land. If he has his quote unquote big three in order, then yeah, definitely it's a possibility. I just don't think that they can outstand the Celtics, the defense that the Celtics are bringing to the table. Without Chris, man, I just don't really see it happening. I know they just won, but we talking about a best of 7 series. It's going to be tough to beat Boston 4 times without your best guys.
So he's
All right.
definitely out for games 3 and 4. If they can stay in it and have it 2-2 or after game 4, and he could come back for game 5, 6, 7, I think they can definitely stay in the series. But assuming he's out for the whole thing, yeah, I just don't see it.
Well, let's say hypothetically, fellas, that they do pull this off. Does that solidify Giannis as being the best player in the world right now?
I think it's already solidified.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's already solidified. Like, who you gonna say has it that's not him?
LeBron all day. Until LeBron retires, to me, he's always the best player on the floor. There's
So
nothing that no one else does that he cannot do. If we want to talk about consistency of it, that's a conversation. But nothing Giannis does or has done, we haven't seen from LBJ.
consistency, unfortunately, is the most important part of it, right? To
True.
be that best player on the planet in that moment means that you need to show up in those moments, and the playoffs are a series of moments in which you have to consistently make it happen over and over again to really lead a team to the promised land.
True.
And that consistency is something that we have seen LeBron struggle with this season, and not so far as putting up the numbers, but those numbers correlating to the victories. So it's not like LeBron's not great. It's not like of all the active players in the NBA, he isn't far and away the most illustrious or the best. But if we're talking about this moment in time, it has to be Giannis.
I just go with LeBron, bro, because at the end of the day, yes, a lot of the 30 year 19 averaging almost 30 points a game, it did not equate to a lot of wins. That's very true. But if he didn't score for the Lakers team, who would have put up the numbers? Like there was no one else to even do that. So that's the only reason why I won't give him so much of a blank. Like we're talking about a man, 37 years old, 19 seasons, was in the run for the scoring title. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I just feel like we've seen Giannis do great last year in the playoffs. We've seen Giannis come up really short in the postseason. We've seen LeBron play big consistently on an individual level. Now, if his team is not able to go with him, I mean, that's just up for debate. So for me, until LeBron retires, it's always gonna be LeBron, bro.
Yeah, I'm. It's just not LeBron at this moment. Like if we have the game, right, Giannis will probably shine. Like you got to think about the last 4 years. Giannis has won 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, a championship, and a Finals MVP.
True. In the East. In the Eastern Conference. We
Don't
gotta
do
put
that.
it all in perspective though, Tom.
Don't no. The reason why you should not do that is because the bulk of LeBron's like entire legacy was in
Been
the
in the
Eastern
East.
Conference,
That's a fact.
and it was a weaker Eastern Conference, my guy.
Than it is now. You
Yes,
think LeBron's that East? Okay, but
yes, by far, easily.
what about winning a championship in both conferences though?
Sure,
What does that
that's
say?
great. Giannis has only played in one conference,
No, but I'm
and
saying
he's dominated that one
if we shoot
conference.
LeBron down for the easiness of the East, I mean we got to put some credit on his name for being able to go out west and do it too, right?
Look. I'm saying that's cool, but that does not change what we see on the floor and who's impacting the floor. We got Joe Jordan from Refuse to Lose, who just popped up in our chat, gave us a comment that I like here. He's like, he can't play both ends with high energy like Giannis. At this point in time, Giannis's motor is endless, and he's giving it on both sides of the court. There's a reason why we had to talk about, in addition to those 2 MVPs in the last 4 years, he also has a DPOY. On top of that Finals MVP and on top of that championship, Giannis has been out here doing literally just, it's different. Giannis has just been different.
In the East, right? He has been, but
But
again, he has not done
literally,
anything to me. He has not done anything LeBron ain't been doing.
but that's
You
not.
talk about. I see the comment about the high energy, with Giannis compared to LeBron. The numbers are the same though, so the results are the same. Of course, you should have more energy being as young as you are if you're Giannis compared to LeBron in his 19 seasons. But the production, as far as numbers, to me are the same. The win losses.
The numbers aren't the same on the defensive end for me, but
True.
most
That's true.
importantly,
That's true.
what I'm trying to you are comparing the entirety of LeBron's career to Giannis's entirety of the career. And if we're talking about Mount Rushmore at the end of it all, where do we put them? Of course, we put LeBron first. But if we're talking about this season, right now, this point in time, I feel like it got to be Giannis, because you say LeBron did it in the East, and I think he did it in the East that's weaker than the East Giannis is in now. But we also got to understand LeBron's
Two
been
franchises as well.
I hear you. LeBron's been in the West now for how many years? 4?
Three. What, 19? He came in, what, 2019?
There's the first year where he kicked all the young boys out. Second
Yeah,
year, he
they
gets it
won it.
done with Anthony Davis. Third year, Anthony Davis doesn't show up. They get
And
bounced
then
by
this
the
year.
Suns. Fourth year, he's missed the playoffs 50% of the years he's been in the West.
Right.
Remember that.
They won a championship though.
Yeah, but hey,
You cannot
Giannis
throw
has
away
won
the
it.
Larry O'Brien trophy when there's teams that have never won
It's
one.
irrelevant because in the same 4-year span, Giannis has also won the Larry O'Brien trophy.
True.
And
That's
you're
true.
comparing them. So what I'm
That's
saying
true.
is like that's important. You got to think about that. It's not a relevant comparison because
If
Giannis also grabbed that Larry O'Brien in that
if
same
Giannis
time
doesn't
span.
get it done, if Giannis doesn't get it done in this round, are you
This
giving
round.
Giannis an excuse? By him being the best player, if you're proclaiming him to be the best player, should he not be able to get this done against Boston?
I think he should be able to beat Boston. Yes, he should be able to beat Boston. Now, if he doesn't, that's not great. But sometimes the best player doesn't always win a series, right? I think most of us will agree for a good almost decade period of time, we could say LeBron James was undeniably the best player in the NBA. Does anybody have any qualms with that? For like a good 8 to 10 year stretch.
Well, you already know where I'm at with that one.
So I know, but Sam looked off in the corner like he wasn't part of the conversation. It said nothing.
I think we're having two different conversations.
Okay, look,
It's
that's
like
fair.
Giannis probably better at this moment, especially given just the success of their teams. But obviously hasn't had the career LeBron has. But the
But
reason I didn't chime in is my sound is fucked up. So I'm going to rejoin in just a second.
Got you, player. All right. We'll bounce you. All right. So I'll just say, even though I think you agree, LeBron's been the best player in the world for at least an 8 to 10 year stretch, but he did not win the championship every single year that 8 to 10 year stretch.
correct.
So, like, I feel like I won't give Giannis an excuse, even though the second best player on his team is hurt. His Robin is gone, right? Which it makes sense. It is a valid reason. I don't think it's an excuse. It's a reason. And I don't think Giannis is the type of person that wants to treat it as an excuse. He's going to try to get better. And we've seen that each and every single year. So if they don't win it all here, that's not going to be great for him. But I do think they have a legitimate chance to beat this Boston team. I like Boston, but in game 2, the Bucks were not themselves. And the Celtics played out of their minds. Out of their minds in game 2. Like, the Bucks scored 86 points, man. That's not going to happen twice. It shouldn't
Gotcha.
happen twice. Them scoring under sub 90 points in a game.
It's gonna be a good series, though. I think it's far from over. I just think without all his guys, all his pieces, Giannis, he had a unbelievable season last year. But not to revisit this conversation so much, but you talked about LeBron's last 4 years. Giannis came up big time short in the playoffs the years before that. Yeah, he got the MVPs, but that meant nothing because he came up super short when they needed him the most. It was only last year until he broke out. So he is showing a level of consistency. I would like to see what he does and how well he plays versus Boston. If I got Boston winning this series, but I will definitely put some more respect on Giannis's name as this series go, because he looks good. He looks good.
Yeah, his game, his that's the thing. His game keeps getting better and better. And people were really unhappy with him taking some of those turnaround mid-range jumpers in the second game because they weren't falling. But when those shots are falling, and they've fallen a lot this season, like if you're a person that likes to watch regular season basketball whenever you can, there's a ton of games. Everybody can't watch all of them. We all know this, and a lot of people tune in when the playoffs start. But if you're a person that likes to watch regular season basketball games, like you've seen, Giannis is starting to really actually get going in games from the mid range, and when that shot falls, he's literally unguardable. He's unstoppable. When that shot is falling, that little mid-range turnaround jumper where
But
people
what's
think
his percentage for the
he's
season? What's
correct,
his percentage from the season? What is he shooting for the year?
like total percentage for the season
Yeah, from the field.
from the field, I imagine he's probably like in like the mid 50s, mid 60s. I could check real quick. He 1 second.
So you have him being better than KD.
I think that right now, well, first off, Giannis is shooting 55% from the field this season.
Nice,
Right?
nice,
Yes,
nice.
he's shooting 55% from the field this season, 29% from three, which
Ooh.
like, yeah, like that's not great, but it's good for him, I guess is what I'm gonna say. But most importantly, like he when that mid-range jumper is falling, he feels unstoppable. And it feels like there's no way for defenses to handle and guard him. And they did not
Agree.
like him taking that shot a lot last night. Well, 2 nights ago. But regardless, I thought that's the shot that when he's hitting, the Celtics can't win. He might give you a 40 ball.
Okay.
And like that's important to me. And I feel like that growth in his game, and we're starting to see it, and is getting more consistent. And I think it's going to be a problem. I think that's what's going to allow them to stretch Boston. All right, so let's roll down to the west side of the bracket. We got, and I actually really want to talk about this series because some interesting things happened today. The Warriors versus the Grizzlies. Now, first things first is we now know that they're like Dylan Brooks is going to be suspended game 3, right? First thing that I want is your reactions to the Dylan Brooks suspension. Do you think it's justified, or do you think the NBA is doing too much?
I think it's justified. The first thing I thought about, like when I saw the highlight of the injury and we found out that Gary Payton actually like fractured his elbow, was the foul Grayson Allen had on Caruso earlier this season, that broke his wrist and he got a suspension. And I was listening to ESPN today and heard that they actually cited that suspension as like the precedent for why Dylan Brooks deserved a suspension also. And let me just uh like preface my opinion by saying I really like Dylan Brooks. I like the energy he plays with. I don't think he was trying to hurt Gary Payton. But intent doesn't matter. When you have someone going full speed and like the definition is like a defenseless player, Dylan Brooks swings at him in the air, takes him out, and it's a play that's dangerous because it's so close to the basket too. And we've just seen a lot of injuries happen at the basket with people running into it. So I don't think he meant to do it, but I do think it's justified. And I do think that whether it's fair or not, the fact that it resulted in a significant injury plays into the decision.
Okay, I'm rocking with that. What you think, Seven?
Yeah, I respect the fact that the NBA, the association, is keeping the same energy. We talked about the Grayson Allen situation in the regular season. You know, they kept the same energy for a postseason game, so I can respect that. I don't have no objections at all. You know, losing a game, losing someone like Dylan Brooks in a series like Golden State with these veterans, these champions that they're dealing with, it's a tough loss. But again, the association is not showing any favoritism. I respect that, and we're just gonna see how this had to play out, man. Because you know, Draymond had this little situation in Game One, and I predicted in this series for Golden State to win, they got to get back into that bully bag. You know what I'm saying? They got to pull out those veteran tricks to get these young guys out of here, and it seems to be working somewhat. So I'm, it is what it is right now with me in this series.
I like the move as well, and I'm also pro Dylan Brooks. I'm actually just pro that like general prototype scrappy player, the Draymonds, the Pat Bevs, the Brooks. Like I like all those type of players. Those are like usually my favorite players. But I liked it, and I actually didn't even think back to the Grayson Allen precedent, and that's really good. But I was just like, if what Draymond did was a flagrant two, what Dylan Brooks did cannot be seen equally. Like absolute blindside, smash the dude's head with full force. Like even even if you want to say basketball wise, they are similar. The optics, the replay, the over and over again that we've seen of this play, like the NBA, I feel like could not treat those things equally and look at the Warriors and say we did not job you,
Right.
right? Like they like that's the thing. If Draymond got a flagrant one, right, and Dylan got a flagrant two, I would have been like, okay, Dylan gets ejected, but Draymond was never ejected in the first place. I feel like the NBA could get away with running the playoffs in that type of a fashion. But once you remove Draymond from the first half of a playoff game and a foul significantly worse happens, I feel like just to make things look, to give the proprietor the to give the allure of things being dealt with equally, you just kind of have to make that move as a league. We got the series here. Who are y'all taking?
Going with Golden State in six.
Mm, that's bars, Sam.
I think Warriors, but I think it goes to 7. I think Memphis scraps it out. Um, and yeah, I think whether it's 6 or 7, I think the Warriors ultimately experience will end up helping them pull it out. But I think it's going to be a really good series, and it has been so far.
All right, I'm in the same vibe right now with Warriors taking it up. I actually also feel six. I can see the Grizz pulling off one more, possibly at home, but like the experience of the Warriors, I think is too much for this Memphis team, and we have seen Jordan Poole really come into his own, and he's been coming into his own all season. If you've been watching, but he's on the big stage now. He's really making it happen. We'll flip over to the other half of this bracket. That's the Suns Mavericks. The Suns Mavericks. I really enjoyed these games, but it feels like the Mavericks have no chance. Is that wild to say?
I agree, but it's just not their time. I think Luka can carry this team. I think Luka can carry this team to a series winner versus a good team, but he's going to need a little bit of help. And if him and Porzingis could have worked things out, that would have been a big plus for them in this series right here. But hopefully they can get someone to come to Dallas to play with Luka. I just don't see it happening this season. But I like Luka's chancing of taking Dallas somewhere deep in the playoffs eventually. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
The Porzingis
Agreed.
comment, huge, huge, because DeAndre Ayton is eating. So is JaVale McGee. The bigs for the Suns are really eating in this series. What's up, Sam?
I think that to echo the JaVale McGee sentiment, I think game one was over when when JaVale Euro stepped into a dunk in transition with 7 minutes left in the game to put them up 20. It ended up only being like a 7-point game, but to me, game one just never looked like a game. And then game two, Dallas just like tricked that game away, just like in a disgusting fashion.
Yeah,
Like
Luka was sloppy. He was really sloppy with that
I'm
basketball.
I'm trying to see what the fourth quarter score was. 40-26 in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. Dallas can't get a stop. And I think that Phoenix is pretty much just approaching the series as like, we'll let Luka do whatever Luka's going to do, but we're not letting anyone else beat us. And that has been the case so far because Dinwiddie and Brunson are really struggling. And the Mavs shot the ball well game one, but did not shoot the ball well game two. And Dorian Finney-Smith did not even take a three game two after a really good performance game one. So I think that maybe Dallas is due for a bounce back in game three. I don't think they'll win the series, but I think if they are going to win a game in this series, it's probably this one.
Yo, I see. So Michael Magic says Mr. Chris Paul needs that ring. Look, look, the point guard has really been point guarding in these fourth quarters, these last three games. Like insane level of control of the game, and you are watching it. And I feel like at this point, CP3 is giving Luca a master class on how to manipulate a game when it's crunch time. And Luke is going to be amazing, like Seven said, and he's going to be doing that to people, and we know that soon. It's just not here yet. But Michael also said this that I thought was interesting right here, where he asked us this. He said this statement. It wasn't even a question. He said Dallas was better with Porzingis. I don't think so. Where are y'all at?
On paper, absolutely they were. But the chemistry, the way those two did not connect, there was never going to be any success. But just as far as the roster, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Porzingis not a slouch.
I don't think he's a slouch, but do you think he could have been the difference maker for them here? He's the size.
Well, that's one of the biggest problems they have is size. You talked about this at the beginning. You talked about this NBA playoffs are showing certain players to be who they are. And Luka Doncic, even though I just gave him high praise, he is actually getting exposed this postseason because of his defense or lack of. Phoenix is going at Luka directly almost every play. They know he's weak. So, having Kristaps help that out by default, helps carry that load a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Mike also hit us with this one, which I think is a little blasphemous, but he asked if CP3 is better than AI,
Yeah,
and
he is.
really?
Why you think that's blasphemous, Tom? I got to talk to the boss.
Yo,
Why is
I
that
think that's
blasphemous?
I think that's kind of wild because I think what AI was able to do is unmatched. Not only just on the court, he was able to carry teams efficiently. We saw the way that he could score. He was basically unstoppable with the ball in his hands. I do think, like, if you're asking who's a better point guard, like the things that CP3 does are more prototypical of a point guard. The things that AI do is really more prototypical of a two, not a one. He was a one
Agreed.
because he was short. Like that, and that's
I
relative, right? NBA short, like, but you know what I mean? Like point guard, yes, that's CP3, but the impact on the culture and the game that AI had, you can't touch that.
I kind of think comparing them is just weird because it's comparing such like a score first player with such a facilitator. Like their games are almost opposite, even though they play like a similar position. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's really what you value, scoring or like one of the top 3 point guard ever.
Hardware, they neither one of them has hardware. But all I know is Chris Paul won everywhere he went, or brought winning or helped bring winning everywhere he went. Allen Iverson did not.
They say Iverson couldn't shoot. Iverson could score. Go look at those
Yeah, he
scoring
can
titles.
score,
We talk
so I
about
don't need him to
shooting.
shoot jump shots. He
And it was a
can.
league that did not value the three the way the league does today.
True.
Right? They
That's a
like the
fact.
league didn't value the three in the same way when AI played. So like it wasn't like AI needed to practice his shot. AI just wanted AI could score, and if he was going to get the bucket, like they were trading 2 for 2s most of the time. There, it wasn't.
They
Correct.
they
Yeah,
were also allowed to play defense against AI. Chris Paul hasn't been getting hand checked for the entire second half of his career. Like
okay.
the defensive rules for AI were much tougher, and he was able to score even despite his size. So
So if you have a franchise, if you are a GM, who are you drafting first to start your team? A prime AI or a prime Chris Paul?
Yo, that's interesting because Michael just said AI is selfish, and I thought to myself, you know what? There aren't many all-time greats that you
That's
can't
not
say that
selfish.
about. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing that I thought about. There aren't many all-time greats that aren't selfish. And that's just important. Like of all the people that we know, some of them kind of had to get down on dudes because they wanted to set the standard for what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. So I don't think AI is particularly more selfish than CP3. I just think AI was very forward about it and he didn't care. He let the media see it, but like people talked about AI as CP3 as a teammate. They talked about the collapse of those Clippers teams, the drama and rivalry and their inability to get along because whose team it was. Was it
Right.
Blake's? Was it CP3's? CP3 not what's the word I'm looking for? He not different in that aspect, but that's why they're both great. We also appreciate the love. Michael. Thank you. Thank you. So I guess that's the end question. Are you drafting CP3 or AI? Which one are you gonna pick?
personal preference, I'm taking AI, but I don't think anyone is wrong for taking CP3. They've been to the same amount of finals, have similar accolades. Me, I just like the play style of Allen Iverson a little bit more. I think the games would be a little bit more exciting to watch. So I'm taking AI in the draft.
Yeah, I agree, man, because especially nowadays, what you do off the court definitely holds just as much weight as it does on the court. And if you're starting a franchise, when you look at what Allen Iverson brought to the game, the style, the swagger, that means something. So, Chris Paul is a perfect floor general as far as a point guard. You can't go wrong if you was to draft him. But if I'm trying to start something special, I got to go with number 3.
All
Allen
right.
Iverson with Instagram, with the team Instagram.
Oh my goodness, that's right, because it wasn't like that back then, like that. Yeah.
Yo, that
Can you
would be
imagine if MJ had it was
crazy.
social media when the MJ was out? Like,
Yo, he wouldn't have been able to do none of that stuff he was doing. MJ would feel suffocated in the social media era, and I don't want to say this is like a Bron over MJ style thing, but we know MJ was a wild boy. Like he wasn't part of the like what was it, traveling cocaine circus. But
right,
my man did like to, get a cigar, get some drinks, and gamble a lot. And like they would have been on him. He like the after a playoff game, they got caught at a casino. It was in the newspaper afterwards, right? In this era, they would have videotaped him at the table.
Oh,
at the
definitely.
casino, and they would have been like, "Yo, this Mike, yo, did your ass just get beat last night? What the fuck you doing over here?" Like it would have been crazy. It's just a completely different world.
And I wonder how that would have affected him going back on the basketball court. Those are things Mike has always been tough minded, you see, but I wonder if he had as much media scrutiny, would he still been able to come back and play as productive as he was? That would have just been interesting to see.
That's facts. That's facts. Okay, so we've talked about the initial rounds. It seems like we are on the east side of the bracket. For both of you, you have the Celtics over the Bucks, and the 76ers are losing to the Heat. So y'all have your conference finals bracket as being the Celtics versus the Heat, which I'm not gonna lie, that would be kind of fire. That would be kind of fire. I am a big Jimmy Butler stan. You know, Bulls to the death, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Butler came up through us. But who are y'all taking in that 7-game series, the Celtics or the Heat?
Well, I had fellas, I had Miami from the start of the regular season to go to the NBA Finals, so I'm sticking with my guns with Miami.
Okay. Okay.
I like I like both of these teams so much. So I'm really just looking forward to a good series if it happens. But like I said, Celtics are my finals pick, and I think it's dope that this is a rematch of a series that happened in the bubble, the Eastern Conference Finals. In the bubble, Celtics fell short then. I think they've grown and figured out enough of their identity as a team under their new coach to maybe pull it out this time.
Yeah, like Mike, I also like Miami, but I'm heavy biased, I'm not gonna lie. But I also just believe that right now both of these teams are playing excellent ball. And the thing that's very clear for me is that Miami is a team that when somebody is having an off night, when two people are having an off night. Hell, if three people are having an off night, Miami has the depth and the consistency of that depth showing up that the next man will give you what they're supposed to give you.
That's exactly the reason why Brooklyn did not make it because when it came down to it, everyone is just sitting there waiting, looking for Kyrie and Kevin Durant to make magic. And I said, when you look at Boston, those guys got a couple guys that's willing to take shots when the game get close. When things get tight in Brooklyn, you see all those role players. They just sit there and just stand there and stand around and wait for KD, and Kyrie to make some type of magic happen. So, like you said, Boston, Miami, they got some guys that'll go get it on any given moment. And then the defense that they bring, that series might be the best series in the playoffs that we get this year.
That's actually fact. So first off, Mike, I have the Bucks beating the Celtics personally, but I was outvoted 2-1 there on that. And I was giving Giannis all the love. I believe he's the best player in the world right now. And I believe that if the Bucks and the Heat meet again, which I think would be the third time in 4 years that they've met, the Heat eliminated them with the wall the first time around. The second time around, I think Miami clears them in 5 on the way to the championship. And then this year would be the third time. And I think that that's a type of matchup that's getting really chippy. I like the Heat now better than I did before, especially with Chris Middleton out. I feel like the Heat's defense will be suffocating on Giannis without Chris Middleton there to also be a little bit of a ball handler and relieve that pressure. Even though I just want to give a shout out to Drew Holiday, who has been good filling in that role of like I need to be the secondary ball handler when we're not just running it through Giannis,
Right.
which has been big for them. But that seems like Sam. Who are you taking in that series?
You're talking about Bucks Heat. If it ended up being Bucks Heat,
Or you said Heat Celtics, so I like that's the way that you should respond to it. So
so I think it will be Heat Celtics, and I'm taking the Celtics in that series. But I will say, hypothetically, if the Bucks do win and play the Heat in the next round, I think the Bucks will have somewhat of a rude awakening of what it's like when PJ Tucker goes from on your team to on the other team, and that's something that they didn't have to deal with last year.
Oh man, that's good. That's a really good one. That's a really good one because PJ Tucker did all the dirty work for that for the Bucks to get past KD when KD was literally going otherworldly. So I definitely agree with that statement. They got the pieces there. So it seems like me and Sam will have the Heat uh advancing to the NBA Finals. 7, you got the Celtics though.
No, the Heat. I
The
got the
Heat.
Heat as
Oh, so
well.
we're all on the Heat going to the NBA Finals. I'm sorry, you said that first. I agree. Yeah, Giannis is from Greece. That's what Michael said. Giannis is from Greece. Giannis is also Nigerian. Like that is like surprise. I was surprised like 4 or 5 years ago when I first heard that for the first time. But now we're on the other side of the bracket. We all got the Warriors winning out. Like we all also have the Suns winning out, which means that we are headed for a clash of two Titans. Right, the Warriors, when healthy this season, have been Titan-esque, and the Suns have been Titan-esque no matter what. I think we can all agree on that. This is going to be a very interesting series. Where are y'all taking this? Suns Warriors.
Sam, I'll let you start, brother. I'm sitting here like I don't know
Golden.
about this one.
I'm taking Golden State in 7.
Oh.
Wow.
I was just
So
about to look
wait,
up
wait. That means
their
Golden State
regulars.
wins Game 7 in Phoenix.
Yeah,
That's hard. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You know, I thought, man, in my heart that this whole Golden State dynasty thing, I thought it was over, bro. I really thought that we would not see Steph and those guys anywhere close to the finals ever again. And here we are. These guys are creeping up. You know, I respect Phoenix, what they've done in the last 2 seasons, but if those two lock up against each other, I can't go against a healthy Steph, Clay, and the rest of those guys. I think it'll be Golden State, Miami.
All right, all right. Look, I also want to take Warriors, and I think Warriors in 6. But here's my big hesitation. Since we're all feeling like the Warriors are kind of come out of this, I want to talk about the hesitation and why we might not be giving Phoenix enough credit. But like we are seeing now against the Mavericks, the bigs for Phoenix are eating consistently. And I feel like Golden State runs into a very similar matchup issue against the bigs of Phoenix, JaVale and DeAndre Ayton, right? They got Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney's a good player. He's a great role player, but we know what he is, right? Who else is going to keep up with that size? They're going to be putting Draymond on JaVale and DeAndre Ayton all series long?
Ayton's not going to win you a series, though. Ayton
Ooh,
is not going to win you a series.
he coming
And
up for contracts.
Chris Paul can't fuck with Steph. Like, it's just not going to happen. That's my thing. Like, I like the Devin Booker Klay Thompson matchup. I like both supporting roles from both teams. But Steph be giving it to Chris. And DeAndre and Ayton, I'm just not sold on him. I think he's a
Okay.
good 5, but I'm just not sold that he's that guy right now.
Oh, okay. I mean, yo, that's big. That's big because I feel like Ayton is actually the X factor for their ability to beat the Warriors. He has to be aggressive. He has to want the ball on mismatches, and he has to punish them. Like we know Shaq and Charles Barkley say this a lot, and people are like, "Yo, that's just not the NBA anymore."
Right.
Phoenix has to let them know the NBA is whatever we say it is because they have to impose that style of ball to be able to be competitive.
Yeah, they will definitely have to set the tone. That's a fact.
Right. Okay. So then that leaves us with the finals. We're finishing in our bracket here. We all seem to be agreed. Heat and
Sons.
Suns. I know. Michael's over here thinking, man, how we ain't got the Bucks going over here as well. But that's just where we are. It's Heat, Suns. This is going to be, I think, this is a series because you get to this series, and I will say this: neither of these teams have a player that I think everybody is on believes has achieved that upper echelon of superstardom.
Agreed.
right? So we are in another one of those. It's not necessarily a small market finals because Miami is big, but like we are in a situation where someone is going to punch the ticket that escalates them into that next rung of superstardom in that finals. We got the Heat, we got the Suns. Who are you taking?
If Phoenix gets by Golden State, which I don't predict, but if we do got Phoenix and Miami, I'm going with. I just can't see Chris Paul winning the championship, bro. I thought his shot was last year, and it didn't happen. So I'm going with Miami to get it done.
All right, if the Warriors are facing Miami instead, do you think Miami can still get it done?
No, I would have to favor Golden State. I
Okay.
would have to favor Golden State versus Miami, but I favor Miami versus Phoenix.
Sam, you on different pages?
So my finals prediction is Warriors Celtics. I think the Warriors are going to win. In a world where it's Heat Suns, I think the Suns are coming out. So I guess in this world, I think whoever comes out of the West between Phoenix
Champions.
and Golden State is going to win.
Okay.
But I will say early prediction for next year, my prediction is the Celtics are losing in this finals, then coming back next year and beating Kawhi and Paul George in the finals 2023. Let it be known.
Mark it now. Mark it now.
Not if Dame Lillard got something to do with it. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I got Dame going to LA to play with Kawhi and Paul George next year. And
Oh.
I see those three making a run next season. I can't wait, bro. This is the NBA. We love this game, man. It's gonna be some interesting moves, man. We got Zach LaVine from Chicago facing free agency. We don't know if he's gonna max out.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think we got to offer him his max, which I think people sometimes don't understand that his max is not the same as like
Like a super max.
not even like a super max. He is still like a tier below that. Like there's two max contracts that are above the contract that he gets as a max player, right? Because he hasn't been All NBA and he hasn't reached any All NBA team. We aren't his original team, like etc. Like it's still a lot of money, but it's not like we're not paying him Russell Westbrook money. You know what I mean?
I don't think
Like,
Chicago gonna keep him.
I think that I hope we do, but if we don't, I hope that we have a backup plan. I really do. I really do because this team has made a bunch of strides, and I don't want to see us move backwards. Now, I want to say that we are at the tail end of this thing. We've talked about the NBA playoffs, hit our bracket out. The last thing we really want to do with you all is get some bets going for tomorrow because you all will have them a little bit a day ahead and give you where we are feeling at for things coming up. Now, Kawhi is always hurt, but I'm hoping Kawhi comes back healthy, man. And seeing him with Dame would be insane. Absolutely insane. On the other hand, we're talking bets right now. And the first game I want to talk about is the Miami versus 76ers game. The 76ers are at home, and they are 3-point underdogs at home. I feel like at this point when we know Joel... What's up?
You said who was underdog? Miami's underdog at home?
No, Sixers are underdog at home.
I was getting ready to say
Miami
that's
favored
crazy.
by 3. Miami favored by 3. Joel out. I say Miami by 3 is an easy. Like I would take Miami on the spread here. I feel like it's kind of hard not to take Miami by the spread here, especially without Joel Embiid playing. Like the 76ers haven't looked like a team that's staying within 3 of Miami in the last 2 games. Where's everybody else at?
I'm going against the line. Philly is due for a game. I think it's going to happen. Miami is due to slouch. I'm gonna give him game 3. Somehow, somewhere, I'm gonna give Philly the next game. I think James Harden is just going to come out crazy. It'll be a whole nother narrative being painted.
So the over under, I like that, right? Over under on James is 22.5. You're saying you take the over on that because I feel like he has to score over 22.5 for them to win this game.
I think I'm going to take the under just to root for hating on him because honestly, I think it really comes down to I think betting the over the under on Harden points is great. It comes down to if you're a believer or not. Because I think he's a playoff fraud, one of the
Okay.
best regular season players of all time. So in this big moment, I think if depending on if you're a James Harden hater or supporter, I think this is a great game to bet on his points because it's really going to come down to him. I think.
Okay.
What James Harden fellas do we need to see to win this next game?
We need to
Do we
see a
need to see
James
a
Harden.
scoring James Harden? Do we need to see a
Yes,
facilitator?
he needs to score.
Okay.
He's always been a
I think
facilitator. What's up, Sam? Go ahead.
I think he needs to get to the line 8 or 10 times, like old James Harden, foul baiting, go back to your best shit. I know that they're not calling a lot of what he used to get on the back and everything,
Yep.
but I think you got to be aggressive and just go to the basket. And the only way they can win or stay in this series is if he's beating people off the dribble.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Actually, I really thought that was important. We do need to see a scoring James Harden because the one thing I will say is, and it's interesting because Michael said that James Harden is washed, but I feel like parts of James Harden's game have not gotten any worse and have possibly gotten better since he's left Houston. In particular, his ability to play make. Right when he went to the
Brooklyn.
Nets, he unlocked a different level of playmaking without the ball always being in his hand. That I think is something that is important to note when we talk about who James Harden is going to be now. There's a reason why the over under on his assists for that game is 9.5. To get the over is 10. It's just he is him when it comes to being an assist machine. That's not going to win them these games with Joel Embiid out. He needs to score. We need 33 plus point James Harden to beat the Heat. We need him actually hitting those threes the way he was before, which I think is important, but he's always been a high volume 3-point shot. But more importantly, like Sam said, he's not blowing by guys. The first step is not there as it was in previous years, and maybe he just needs to get in better shape
Right.
after rehabbing this hamstring, because the hamstring injury is no joke. But oh, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I would actually be comfortable taking the under on his points, but I would take the over on Maxi's. Maxi's is also at the same over under as James Harden 22.5. I would 100% take the over on Maxi for 22.5 points, but I would not take it on James Harden comfortably. We can move on to the next game we got
Can I
here.
give you
Oh,
two more I like for this game?
yes.
So one I like. It depends on your book. Obviously, they might not have this, but I think parlaying a Matisse Thybulle steal and block together is really good. He's gotten a steal and a block in both the first two games of the series. And I think the over on Tyler Hero threes. If the line is
Oh,
2.5, definitely. If it's 3.5, maybe not. But it's been 2.5 the first two games, and he's hit over both times. So if it doesn't change, I think the over on Tyler Hero threes is a good one.
okay. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. We got the next game that will be tomorrow, and that'll be Phoenix and Dallas. Dallas is at home, and again, we're seeing teams be dogs at home in these playoff series. Dallas, I have as a 1-point dog against Phoenix, while Dallas is at home. I, if you think Dallas is going to win one, this is the line that you would take it for, right?
Pretty much.
I still got Phoenix, man. I haven't nothing. I have seen no fourth quarter minutes this entire series that gives me confidence in Dallas. I think Dallas has only led for a total of 3 or 4 minutes the entire series, both games combined, and it was briefly, I think, at the end of the second, early third of game two, right? I'm not feeling this. I feel very confident that Phoenix only having to cover a single point can definitely take that. That's definitely one that I like. We want to talk some of the player prop spreads. Where are you at with that, Sam?
I love DeAndre Ayton points. He went off game one. I don't think they have anyone to stop him. Chris Paul and Devin Booker both went off game two, so he only ended up with 9. I think that should be a pretty favorable line for the over on Ayton points. I also just like the over on the game in general. Dallas can't get a stop. And both of the games have been really high scoring. And the last one I have for this one is the over on Dorian Finney-Smith threes. He had a really good game one, didn't take any game two. So I think that'll be a concentrated thing for Jason Kidd to get him involved in the offense.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Here's another one that I think is going to be pretty good. And I want to say the over under on Jalen Brunson threes is 1.5. I will take the over on
Yeah, I'll
that.
take the over on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
would
like
take the
that.
over on that, especially Dallas being at home and Jalen Brunson having struggled a little bit this series so far. I think he's going to make a concerted effort to come out aggressive and try to put the scoring back on the board, because I feel like his fall off this series has really changed the
True.
outcome of what we thought it could be. Right? Like I thought a sweep was impossible before the series started. It's looking ever present, like it's likely. I won't say it's going to happen, but it looks like it's
He ain't
more
got no
than
help.
like.
We see it. Luke ain't got no damn help. We watching, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter how well Luca plays the rest of the playoffs. We looking at the supporting cast. It's just not going to be enough.
Okay,
We
all
just
right.
looking at this thing as them going back home, the fans being that 12th man and giving them that energy for that one night. But other than that, it's a wrap for Dallas.
All right. All right. Facts. So Saturday, we got some early lines for Saturday. These may change. Hold on one second. Michael asking where we're from. I am from Chicago originally, born, raised, moved down to Dallas, been in Dallas for like almost a decade at this point. So I've been out here for a minute. I 7. What's up? Where you from?
I'm in Baltimore. I've been in Baltimore all my life, born and
Yeah, you
raised
sound
Baltimore
like a
City.
B-more dude.
Yeah,
You sound like you from B-more.
that's a fact.
Yeah, yeah. Sam.
Shreveport, Louisiana, and I live in Iowa City. Been here for like 4 years.
Dope.
Facts, facts, facts. So we got some early lines for Saturday. Of course, these can change a little bit, especially as like some more information comes out. But I want to start with this is the biggest line of the NBA playoffs second round so far. Memphis versus Golden State. And Golden State is a 7-point favorite at home. Ooh, are y'all gonna take the 7?
I'm taking that. I'm taking that
Okay,
in San Francisco, definitely.
okay. You taking the Sam?
That's just a big line. I don't think I would take the spread. I don't know if I would. I think I'd leave the spread alone. Honestly, I could see Golden State winning big. I could see them winning the game by like 5, even losing. So I think I'm going to stay away from like outcome based stuff
Even
for
with
this
Dylan Brooks
game.
being out.
I think with Dylan Brooks being out, I think some of the player prop stuff is a lot more enticing than the outcome of the game. Like
Okay.
I think betting on Desmond Bain to go off either from 3 or points wise, I think I'd do something like that over betting the spread.
Respect, respect.
Okay, I like that. So the props we were definitely going to get into. I saw this spread and I thought to myself, I will take Memphis as the dogs, because the combination of the last 2 games have been decided by a total of 6 points, 1 and 5. Right, these have been very close games so far, and I honestly believe that in some aspects, late in games, Memphis kind of sold game one. Memphis kind of sold in game one late in the game, and Memphis has been able to stay there and be dogs with people. I like Memphis is the underdog here. They'll cover the 7, but I do not think that they will win. But when we talk player props, I think Sam is definitely right here. More enticing of the two player props for this game. What you feeling?
So I foreshadowed it a little bit, but so I think basically the way you got to think about it is Dylan Brooks is the type of guy that will go get 25 points in a playoff game and shoot a ton of threes. So someone on Memphis is going to have to step up and maybe not get that 25 points themselves, but they'll at least have to fill in from the 3-point aspect. So I think the over on Desmond Bane threes and DeAnthony Melton threes are both good options for this game.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. So I saw an interesting prop here for me, and this was the over under on Klay Thompson, who struggled a little bit this series. And the over under is at 21.5. Yeah. I mean, look, I kind of think you take the under. I think it's I look, the last 3 games, Klay has not scored more than 15 points. Right. Clay has had a couple big games in the playoffs. He had like a 30 burger. You know, I think he got to like 20 plus one other time, maybe 2. But Clay is missing shots that he usually hits. His offense hasn't been clicking a lot as of late. And I actually feel like I'm willing to take the Clay under here. I'm willing to take the Clay under. I know that's a little feels weird to bet against take Klay Thompson, but I like it.
I mean, I can't really argue with what you're saying because we only going by what we have seen. You know, I'm going to take the over for the simple fact that it really hasn't been anyone on Memphis causing Clay to be as I don't want to say bad, but you know, his play been kind of subpar. Memphis haven't really shut him down. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's missed a lot of shots. So I just think Clay is when he on, he on. When he off, he off. I think he'll eventually get back on. I don't see him being locked down. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he go over that.
Okay. Okay, I like that. We got any other big ones for this game? Any other props that you saw that you liked? I actually saw a Draymond Green steals prop that like I was like, oh, I feel like Draymond's kind of that guy. Like it's 1.5, so Draymond would only have to get 2, and it's at plus 115 odds. So I kind of like that. The under is not as great of odds, but I like that one for him as well. Andrew Wiggins also at the half mark, only needing 1 at minus 200 odds. That one was big for me. So if you're looking at a parlay that you want to like high level boost, I liked
Wiggins.
the Andrew Wiggins
Andrew
one
Wiggins.
steal. Andrew Wiggins one steal at minus 200 odds. Last game that we got for this weekend coming up, and that's the Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are 3-point favorites at home against Boston. This game is, woo. Look, who are y'all taking to win this game? Just first off,
Giannis better win it. You say he's the best player. He better win. He better win.
he better win.
He better win.
You're not wrong. I feel like that's definitely expected of him at this point. Like that's what happens when you're great. The spread of 3 either way. I personally would just rather bet the money line on this game than bet the spread of it. And I'd rather just bet Milwaukee money line minus 145 than take the points for minus 105. I just feel like I don't know exactly how this game is going to go down. I could see this game kind of getting out of hand very quickly and Boston letting up early and getting ready for the next one because they just got to steal one at home. And then that's like the worst, right? When they do that at the playoffs. Because you're like, we got another one in 2 days. So, we down 20. We going to let it ride.
Right.
Right. And then the game is out of whack. So I'm right now, I would say instead of staying on the spread, I would be on the money line. I don't know if y'all got any feelings on the spreads, props, etc. that you like.
I agree with you on money line. I think that when it's 3 points, like there's nothing worse than betting on the spread in like a 3 point game and then the team you bet on wins by two. And like the I don't know, like say you bet $10 on the spread or the money line, what you'll get like two more dollars
It's
going
not
for the
worth it.
spreads.
It's not
So
worth it.
I think just play it safe and bet on who you think's going to win the game.
Giannis dropping a 30 burger. The over is
Yes,
29.5.
that I think parlay of Giannis 30, 10, and 10 is like nice for this game. He's averaging 26, 11, 9.5 for the series, and he
Damn.
got a triple double game one. So it's really a question of if he just gets to that 30, and I think the odds for 30, 10, and 10 parlay for Giannis will be nice. And I mean, if you think he's doing that, then you might as well throw in Bucks money line. So that's like a 4 leg parlay that I think you could. I would guess like bet 10 to like win 150 somewhere around those odds.
Uh, I think it's always a lost cause when you lose, but when you win, but when it hit, it all just feels different. Look, I like that. I like that a lot. I also thought Giannis dropping the 30 burger was going to be huge for this one. I like that one a lot. I also saw some of the interesting point props for the Celtics stars, right? So we got Jaylen Brown at 24.5, Jason Tatum at 29.5 as well. So Jason Tatum would also have to drop a 30 burger. I like Jaylen Brown's better than Jason Tatum.
Yes, I
Personally,
agree.
especially Jaylen Brown coming off a very strong game. And I just feel like Milwaukee is going to focus in. You got to stop Jason Tatum. He's drawing that type of attention, especially after what he just did against the Nets, and that's giving Jaylen Brown a little bit more freedom to move around and work. And after after game one, where he kind of stunk it up, only dropped 12 points, he seemed to really be locked into being aggressive. And I expect that to travel and keep moving for Jaylen Brown, a player that I'm a big fan of. Man, Michael Magic, that is tough. That is tough. Hopefully, we can help you get out the hole if you're still willing to dive in there.
Double M.
Okay, so Mike said this, and I actually disagree with this a lot. I think Jaylen Brown's an absolute dog. I think Jaylen Brown's an absolute dog, but you have a situation where every team needs an alpha. Every team needs that guy that's going to be that one. And in a situation where you might get two alphas on the same team, either you get a situation like we talked about earlier with the Clippers, where they going to butt heads the whole time, and it's going to be drama and it's going to be beef, or you going to get a guy that's willing to sacrifice for the team. Players talk about this, ex-players a lot talk about this, sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice for the greater good of winning that championship? D Wade, LeBron comes over. He's like, yo, this got to be your team. Where did
Correct.
D Wade get that from? Shaq. Shaq comes to
Steph.
Miami, and Shaq says, yo, D Wade, you really have to be that. You have to be him.
Steph
And
and
I know that
KD.
you're him. Yeah. Steph is like, look, I'm Mr. Warrior. And everybody knows it. And I think KD still knew it, and that was part of like, why he wanted to leave and make his own legacy. But Steph was willing to be Mr. Warrior and be like, go ahead, it's you. You got it. And I think you can't have great championship teams without someone that is that dog being willing to play second fiddle. You might be able to, but it's harder to have that exist over time.
In this game, because it ain't like before. In this game, you definitely gonna need it. Look at Kyle Lowry and you know how even though Kawhi was a better player coming into Toronto, they didn't hesitate to give Kawhi the driver's seat. And look how that ended up for them in 2019.
Yeah, 100%. And like you see that, I feel like Miami is a team full of dogs. In fact, like that's all they want, right? And not every person that's a dog is going to be the dude that gives you 30 every night, but it's more about the way they're going to approach the game. And I feel like Jaylen Brown is him. I feel like Jaylen Brown in a different situation would be seen 10, 20 spots higher in his ranking of a player,
Right.
right?
100%.
But he would probably win less games.
Exactly. Like Jaylen Brown could be averaging damn near 30 for like a lot of these bad teams. Like imagine throw Jaylen Brown on the Pacers or the Kings, and he probably could get 30 every night. But willing to sacrifice that to win, I think, is something that should add to your legacy, not take away from it.
Facts. It only adds if you complete. It takes away when you don't. That's the problem. It only adds when you host the Larry O'Brien Trophy. It takes away when you don't. And that's look. Okay. Mike says Jaylen Brown's a puppy, and the thing is, they're all really puppies. That young crop of kids now, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Luka Doncic, they're young, dude, but they're not waiting. Like, Ja's in his third year. What you thinking, Seven?
The NBA is in good hands. I'm just looking at, these young guys, some of the names that you're running down. I think the NBA is definitely in good hands. Jaylen Brown, to me, I'm not going to say he's a big dog. I'm not going to say he's a puppy. He's coming into the moment right now. So I think our decision on him, the discussion probably will continue after this season. Jason is that guy. I foreseen Jason holding up the Larry O'Brien Trophy. I didn't know how because I didn't think Boston would be as good, but I don't know, man. I'm liking Jaylen Brown now. I think what will define him overall, we're seeing in this season. He's always been a decent two-way player.
That's facts.
Fellas, I got to step out of here. I got something to do. I
Oh,
appreciate
you
the time
good? We ran over. Thank you for coming.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt. Next time you do another panel for the playoffs because there's so much action-packed basketball, definitely have me on. Salute to all you guys. Sam, a pleasure once again. You guys check out my channel, Best of 7 Sports Talk on YouTube. Nothing but NBA debates, breaking news, updates. You already know the vibes. Tone, I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you, Heavy. On that note, we are probably going to wrap up here. We wanted to be around an hour. We're a little bit over. We appreciate everybody who listened, came through. Thank you, Michael, for giving us your comments, interacting with us, giving the show some extra flavor. We are going to keep trying to break down all of these things that are happening with the NBA playoffs. The games are back to back to back to back to back every single night, and we do not want to pot over a game because we want to watch it to tell you what we are thinking and what we see. So the next empty day on the schedule is the next day that we are aiming to be out here talking NBA playoffs with y'all again. Sam, appreciate you for coming through as always, and we will rock with you all soon again.
The fly route pod, the fly route pod, the fly route pod, the fly route
Appreciate you
pod.
for having